welcome to a brand new episode here on 1950's Farm. So, wheat field drilled, as I showed you in the last episode. All of the soybeans from the shed down at the dairy have been sold. All of the corn has been sold, and they also sold their wheat in our silo, and we've sold our soybeans from our silo. And that 108,000 is what we've got, and as I've said before, it's relative because it's the modern day prices rather than 1951's prices, but it will even out because if we buy new equipment we'll be paying modern day prices, not 1951 prices. So as you can see, we're out mowing grass. We've got to get some hay done before the end of today because today is the last day before the grass will die off for the winter. So we've got Mrs. Hill out on the tractor and the neighbour, and by the looks of things they're behaving themselves because they are doing a fabulous job cutting. I basically did the headland, so I did about, I think it was either 4 or 5 rounds around the headlands, and then just put them on the normal worker. As long as it's going up and down in a fairly square field, the normal worker works absolutely fine. So that's what they're doing. Meanwhile, I'm out in our soybean field, and I'm going to collect our bales and take them down to the dairy because the dairy are having them. I'm hoping that during the winter months we will start to get some pens built in there, and we will raise from calves. We will raise beef stock, but that's a little way off. But at least we have got probably the money to do it now. So that's pretty cool. As well, I would like to look into buying a new mower as well, just because that one is, a little old-fashioned. But yeah, so that would be my my plan. Right, we'll put that down to the ground, and then we might have half a chance here. Actually, that's going to be too low. Let's just try that up there, because that's going to be too low. There we go. I've found that since I took the trouble off camera when I baled it to flip them over, just because I kind of felt that might be an easier way of picking them up, because I've noticed that the bale spikes on this bale spike are flat, not pointed, and I think that was why I was having trouble piercing through the ends of the bale, because obviously that's quite tough, because it needs to hold the bale obviously together, so it's sort of quite tough, and I wasn't able to pierce it and to pick them up properly. A lot of you commented about my sort of struggles with the round bales. And I kind of sort of watched the videos back and sort of thought, well, this machine is perfectly capable. And another weird thing with the weeds that again didn't come through on these parts, but came through everywhere else. I don't know. I haven't done anything to the map, to be fair. I am normally, sort of dodgy stuff occurs after I finish playing with the map in Giants Editor for a bit, but I haven't done anything to this map. So I don't know. It's okay. It doesn't really spoil the game in any way. So we can crack on with it, but it's weird. But it is Farming Simulator, and I do find that if anything weird and funky is going to happen, it's going to be in this computer game. The Giants have done an incredible job building a very semi-realistic simulator, and I say semi-realistic just because they have to do some things that are not so realistic, but for gameplay purposes and for the purpose that a lot of people just kind of want to come in, play for a couple of hours and then bugger off and sort of not worry too much about it, and then it could be that they don't come back again for another couple of weeks. So it's kind of done to try and keep people interested, but it's a cracking game. I love the game. Absolutely love the game. Been playing it since 2009. Discovered it in 2009, and have played it every day since. Even when I was working on the farm, on the second farm, I was lucky enough, obviously, to have a Challenger with GPS and everything. So I had a gaming laptop, and I used to take the laptop to work with me. used to play it. And my head's just gone to be. I hope Adrian isn't watching. Well, I don't work there now, so it doesn't matter if he is. So, yeah, I used to be able to play it, as I say, while I was at work. But yeah, it's a cracking game. But I just sort of thought with these bales, it might be an easier way of picking them up, and so far I've been sort of kind of proved myself right. It definitely is an easier way to pick them up. I'm not pushing them halfway down the field now, so that's a Brucey bonus. But so we'll get them to mow that field, and then what we'll do is we'll quickly go off. I might even do that off camera, just do the headlands of the other field and then get them to cut that field. And then the dairy have bought a new field, and I'm not sure, but whether I'm going to silage that one or whether I am just going to this year do it for hay, and then we'll start silaging next year. I'm not sure what to do yet. Still do have a little bit of silage left over from from when I loaded the game in. As I said, I sort of the two farms here. When you load this map in, they're not the two farms you start with. The farm that you start with is over in that direction, and so I have no idea why that farm over there had silage in the pit, because I didn't put that pit there, because it was, I sort of wasn't going to be doing silage for quite a few years, mainly because the mods are not available to make it accurate enough. So I was sort of going to do silage as and when sort of the mods started to make it more accurate and stuff, but that already had silage there, and I thought, well, obviously I put the dairy barn in, and it's a quality mod as well, so for anyone that's looking for a good American style dairy barn, go download that quality mod. Absolutely quality. Very, very good. And the other thing as well is that, and it kind of goes unnoticed, it was only because I was in there the other day, and I can't remember what time it is, but twice a day the cows do walk themselves into the milking bit, because I see there was a mod I see advertised the other day. I forget where it was. Am I good enough to nudge it over? Well, all I've done is nudged it straight back to where I bloody had it. Let's try that way. Alright, now we need to go round it. No, I think ooh. Honestly, practice still needed, but I do actually, because like I've said before, before I started doing YouTube, it was just auto-load trailers because it was just easier. Another thing Farming Simulator does do is it makes some relatively easy jobs in real life very, very difficult in the game, and this is one of them. To be fair, I wasn't that good on the farm with the forklift, so bale stacking and anything like that, I wasn't sort of kind of asked to do, if you like. The most my sort of forklift life or telehandler life consisted of was either loading my drill or loading lorries. I could do that, so I was sort of, I was okay at loading lorries. I enjoyed it as well. But yeah, so that was sort of my forklift skills really. anything sort of stacking wise, like potatoes and boxes and bales and stuff like that. No, don't ask James to do that, because I had with my heart condition, I had a stroke when I was 4, and it's left my hand and eye coordination a little bit out, and it's like left me with some other problems as well, and so what looks straight to me it's not straight to anyone else. But yeah, so I sort of tended to, well, I just didn't get asked to do it. You get asked once, and after I'd sort of was loading a straw lorry to take it to the local power station and sort of put the next row on, so put the back row on, fine, next row, put that on, fine, and then somehow managed to virtually, well, I pushed 2 rows of bales completely off the other end of the trailer, off the other side of the trailer. So the lorry driver wasn't best pleased. He was actually a lorry driver that worked on the farm, and after that I didn't get asked to stack anything. It kind of explained why I was struggling, and they just said, fine, we won't ask you to do it. So they didn't, and because of sort of my learning difficulties, that's why I was kind of put on ploughing pretty much all the time, because it was a job I could just go off and do. It was sort of, I understood it, and I could do it. So and I was, well, again, blowing my own trumpet, and I don't like doing that, but to quote Adrian, he was my farm manager, according to him and 1 or 2 of the other guys on the farm, I was very good at it. So why not have someone, doing a job they're sort of good at, rather than I love drilling as well. Struggled with because I also have I have dyscalculia. Honestly, I'm well otherwise, but I have dyscalculia, which means I don't understand numbers. I know what numbers are, so like I know that, like, 1951, there's a 1, a 9, a 5, and a 1, but that's about as far as it goes. If you started to ask me to add those up, like look at you, completely gone out. It's like, what? Basic maths I can do, adding, like 1 add 1 is 2, but yeah, so couldn't calibrate the drill because I just didn't understand the maths that was involved. And the same with the sprayer. So what they used to do when I used to go spraying was they would have a tank or tanker Bowser, and they would fill it up with the spray, and then they would tell me that there was enough spray in that tank or that Bowser to go off and do X, Y, and Z fields. And then once I'd done them fields, as I was about to finish, to ring the farm, let them know, and they would get the next lot made up for me. So I mean, I was lucky, because the first farm that I worked on, they weren't quite so understanding, to be fair, but as I say, the second farm that I worked on, they were like, okay, not everyone's good at everything, and if that's what you struggle with, we'll just help you with it. And there was more than enough people that worked on the second farm to do that. So I was sort of very lucky in that way, really. But yeah, this is definitely going much better, isn't it? But I've chatted on a bit. Oh, I forgot to flip one there. Chatted on for a bit too long, so I'm going to switch over to some music, and we're going to do the rest of this, which might even be lucky enough to get them on that trailer, although I am only going to be able to stack it too high. I'm not going to be able to reach up to get a third up there, but we might have enough. If not, what I might do is I might just, if there's only like a couple of free bales left, I might just store them in our shed, and then we'll take them down there when it's sort of a dry winter's day. I mean, in the olden, like in 1951, they would have literally tarpauled them. I think that's the word I'm looking for. and then taking them down in the trailer. But again, we don't have that sort of option available to us in Farming Simulator. So yeah, we'll take it on a dry day. It's no problem. Just lift that up slightly. There we go. Literally just want the bale to take the weight. See, I find that much easier to stack. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with this, and I'll see you later on in the video. Bye for now.
Speed to the city streets, we began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun, as she puts her hand in mine. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light, pull the stars from the sky, just two hearts running wild.
welcome back. There. So, I hope you enjoyed the music. As you have been watching, I've been busy, and the help has been busy as well. They've done a good job of cutting the other field, and we've now got this one sort of started and going. So, I'm going to carry on doing. Excuse me. Going to carry on doing this field and get this done. Hopefully, he'll be able to cut all the way through. And that will be a massive help, and then it'll be tedded, and then all I need to do then is just row the fields and then bale the fields. So yeah, a bit of a disaster with the bale trailer. Looked like I was getting the bales on there really nicely, and then right at the end knocked two off, which is just typical little old me really. But never mind, we sorted it out. And then there was a little bit of issue as well at the farm there when I just happened to glance the muck spreader. I panicked because I suddenly realised I was taking the straw bales to the wrong shed. We will just stop because otherwise that will cause issues. Yeah, so never mind. Anyway, everyone's still alive and every bit of machinery still works, so all is well that ends well, as I say. And yeah, so it's been a decent episode, to be fair. In terms of we've managed to get quite a bit done, and say that field's now ready to bale. This field will soon be ready to bale, and then we can get them baled, get them collected, get them down there, and get them in the store. Because as I say, that store does need filling, although there was more hay bales left over than what I thought. I've got a feeling that shed doesn't necessarily show you all that's in there, just because, as I say, it looked like there was about 8 to 10 bales in there, and I think I pulled out 28, I think, was it? So yeah, I don't think it shows you all of the bales that are in there. I think it just sort of roughly represents what's in there. So we weren't as short on hay as what I thought, but still good to get plenty in for the winter. We don't want to be we don't want to be short next year. In terms of the new grass field that the dairy is going to buy, which they did do in real life, because what they did was obviously Harry sort of had this land anyway, not this particular land, but had some land anyway that was grassed, and he used to mow it for hay for the dairy. And then when Harry started farming, it was kind of a little bit like a sort of on a contract basis, where he would still mow his own field, but he would then bale it for the dairy, and then they would buy the bales there off him. I think they bought the bales off him before, but it was a little bit more kind of official. And eventually what happened was, now it doesn't say, so whether there was a falling out, whether it was just a changing of the times, whether it was just, at the end of the day, the dairy decided that it wasn't the way to go forward, that the best way for them to go forward was to be completely 100% self-sufficient, but they ended up buying a couple of grass fields, and they ended up, mowing their own grass, and producing their own hay and their own silage. Eventually, it was still a couple of years away. Silage. They were producing bits of silage, but they were producing a very small amount. And like I said, the mods are not really there for me to kind of do it accurately enough. Although, as I say, I have been sort of put in the right direction of a mod that is not that far away from what they would have had. So over the next sort of year or so on the game, we will probably introduce that mod, and we will do silage that way, probably next year. What I'm going to do is, because Harry and the dairy eventually in, I think, 1953 sort of permanently parted ways, I'm going to use a little bit of creative license, and we're going to carry on working for the dairy. for a little while. I am going to start to get into the contracts because that is something that Harry did do, and that is something that kind of made Harry and Hank's and Serenity's business as it is today. So Hank, which is Harry's son, and father to Serenity. Well, Serenity Hill is now sort of taking over and slowly beginning to seize full control of the farm. Um, so, but their business today was built on the contract work that Harry did back in the day, because a lot of the sort of startup farms that started went bust, and because people's I think it's a bit similar to today. I think if the government today turned around and offered people, or you get so many, say 100,000s to start a farming business or whatever, or sort of tens to 20,000s of pounds to start a small business, that people would take it up. But I think overall, the percentage that, say, in 10, 15, 20, 25 years that are still going, would be very small. Some people, a bit like myself, really, the idea of having, certainly in terms of like what Harry did, having my own farm and having, my own business, it sounds great. Um, you know, that doesn't necessarily, though, just because you're interested in something, translate into you can make a business of it, you can make money from it, you can make a go of it. And I think a lot of those farms disappeared, and for the farms that sort of disappeared, Harry the dairy and any other sort of kind of big farmer started to take the land. And the other thing as well is that some of those farmers that couldn't make a go of it themselves were probably clever enough to keep hold of the land, but just employ, a firm like Harry's to come in and basically do the work. And so therefore they would pay you X amount per year to do, to basically farm their land. But they would take, rather than paying you, so you would probably take a 60-40 split in terms of the profits made. And that still happens today, actually. I know a couple of farms in the area that run on that basis with a couple of local contractors, because one summer I did quite a bit of work for when I worked on the first farm, because they only had like sort of, it's about 1,000 to 1,500 acres, something 1,000 to 1,200 acres, something like that. Sometimes the work would sort of run pretty dry pretty quickly in the summer, and so I used to go off and help the local contract firm, and that was the sort of basis that they were working on with a couple of farms in the Holbridge Marsh area, that the farms themselves had no workers, but the contractors that worked the land on behalf of that farm, took a percentage of what the farm made each year, and it's quite a clever way of doing it, because it's in the interest of the contractor to do a very good job on everything they do, because obviously it's the only way they're going to get paid. And the better they do, the more they get paid. The pay is subject to how well the farm does. Now, it's not a bad way to do business, and for someone like Harry, who was clearly a sort of forward-thinking person, because the other thing that he realised quite quickly was that, yes, from sort of 1948, 1950, when it really started to happen, where Harry Truman was really sort of pushing industry, not just farming, but all of industry, because of the war and the shortage of everything. Harry realised that there was going to come a point when the world was going to be flooded with produce and nowhere to sell it, because the supply would far exceed the demand. And Harry started to sort of kind of prepare for that by, you know, starting to put money away, knowing that times were going to become harder. And because times were going to come harder, farms would start struggling. And it was then when these farms started to take on contractors to do most of the things, and Harry realised that, and the money that he'd sort of saved, he was able to start investing in equipment. um, and so, you know, it was sort of his forward thinking that, hang on a minute, yes, you know, the market has no supplies, so therefore it has, if you like, 100% demand. But it isn't going to be many years before so many people have jumped on the bandwagon, you know, and so many people all over the world are flooding these markets with produce that actually there's going to be 100% product but very little market for it, you know, because, you know, the world has enough. And you know, that still works again today, you know, certainly in terms of, you know, potatoes, one particular crop that I know, it's like that here in the UK, and wheat's another one as well, where, you know, you'll have, like this year, next to no one has grown rapeseed. You know, I can drive for miles and miles and miles and see absolutely no rape anywhere in the countryside. Now, in a couple of years' time, because there'll be a big market and no crop, I don't know what the, you know, what the sort of percentage is over this area, whether it was weather related, but a lot of people are saying that for the amount of money that they need to spend on the rape, with controlling beetle, pigeons, and etc., and getting that rape to come through, the fact that it was a really wet autumn, which meant that a lot of farms got it in, but then, you know, it was weather damaged. You know, there isn't going to be any rape over the next sort of 12 to 18 months. Now, what that sort of percentage, as I say, is across the rest of the UK, I don't know. But yeah, saying potatoes as well. You know, one year there'll be an absolute flood of potatoes, as every farmer does them, and then another year, they'll perhaps go a couple of years like that, and then suddenly, you know, the price will drop out of them because there's so much of them. Farms will then not do it for a couple of years, and then you'll see that there'll be a huge sort of flood of farming, which there is this year. You know, I literally, you know, sort of drive 10 miles, and probably near enough every field that I see would be potatoes, or wheat, you know, and so in essence, you know, things from 1950 to the modern day, in terms of business, in terms of markets, in terms of fluctuations, haven't really changed at all. You know, you're still getting these you know, huge variations from year to year. But yeah, so anyway, I've waffled again far too long, bored you all to tears. So if you're still watching, well done. But I am going to end the video here because we are catching him up, so we are soon going to have to stop again while we let him get a bit ahead again. And as I say, we'll when we come back next episode, we will probably more than likely be baling. I won't. We'll probably do the rowing and the baling in that episode. So that'll be for next time. When will that be? That'll be Friday's episode. That's all that's left for me to say, really. Thanks ever so much for joining me on this episode. I've really enjoyed having your company, and I really hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.